Howdy, Possum Patty here. It is August 4th and I'm catching up on some nature journaling projects. It's the calm before the storm. We are waiting for tropical storm Isa to come up the coast. The first project I wanted to catch up on was taking a closer look at some of the flowers I had found in the yard. The first was the coral honeysuckle, or sometimes called the trumpet honeysuckle. Now this vine is native to our part of the Northeast. Today I'm taking a closer look at this trumpet honeysuckle vine that is native to this part of the Northeast, all the way down to Florida. Although in Florida it gets a little more woody, and I believe the leaves don't fall off. While here in the north it's deciduous. It has these waxy looking leaves that are opposite each other, but if you look to where the flower is going to be, the two leaves underneath it have joined together to form one perfoliate leaf. Perfoliate means that the stem goes through the middle. Now here's one with flowers, and we see the two leaves joined together, and behind that two more leaves have joined together, and behind that we just have two opposite leaves. Here's some of the buds. Beautiful scarlet color on the outside and yellow on the inside. Let's find one that's open. Here we go. Beautiful scarlet color with yellow stamens on the inside. Now sources tell me that this is a perfect flower, meaning it has male and female parts to it. So we're going to be taking a closer look at these. And that it forms berries. So where the old flowers have fallen off, that's where a berry is going to be. What's interesting about it is the two leaves below the flower is perfoliate, which means it looks like the stem poked a hole and is coming through the middle of the leaf. On this particular stem, even the two leaves behind the flowers looked like it was perfoliate, but all the rest of the leaves on the vine were opposite. The second part of its Latin name means evergreen, and over the winter some of its leaves did stay on the vine, but apparently down south most of the leaves do stay on the vine and stay green all winter. The second flower that I wanted to take a closer look at was the Bittersweet Nightshade. I was wondering about this yellow cone in the center of the flower. I did some research and I found that it is the fused stamens. I was also curious about these little white dots with the green centers, but I couldn't find any information on what they were for, if they had a function or if they were just decorative. Maybe they're there to attract a certain kind of insect, I don't know. The third flower that I wanted to take a closer look at was the Boneset. Now I drew this the other day, and I drew the whole head of the flower. But I brought some in and took it apart, and I could see that the head is made up of all these little different green tufts. And if you pull apart one of these tufts, you can see that there's these white tubular flowers inside. I thought that was pretty interesting. The other thing that I wanted to document was the picking of flowers to put in my flower press. So I went around the yard and I picked a whole list of different things and put them in my flower press. But I'm going to put that at the end of the video, so if you're interested in walking along with me as I cut the flowers, please come along. I have a few more journaling projects that I want to catch up on and a few more pages to do. Thanks for coming along today. Happy nature journaling. Bye-bye. What I have with me in my stack here is some newspaper, and inside the newspaper I have some newsprint, and in between each piece of newspaper I have a piece of cardboard. And what I'm going to do is snip some flowers and then dry them in my flower press and use them in my nature journal. I'm going to start with these dark purple pansies because I know they press well. And after I snip it, just lay it flat on the newsprint like that. I'm going to take some of these dianthus . Now here's a pretty dark red one, and I'm going to pull it off and see if I can get it to lie flat like that. I'm going to take some of this verbena. Here's some pretty purple ones, and I think with the verbena I'm going to take each little blossom separately instead of trying to press the whole thing. So this is what my first page looks like. I have a dark purple pansy, some dianthus, and a couple petals of the verbena. I'm going to cover that quick before they blow away. Okay, that's my first layer. I'm going to put an elastic band around this to hold that till I get the other layers done. On my second page, I have the primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, and a couple of leaves. On this page, I have 4 pieces of lavender and 4 tiny pieces of sweet alyssum. Usually the thicker flowers don't press well, but I'm going to experiment with this little rose, and I added 2 geranium blossoms and some million bells. I wonder if I can press a black-eyed Susan. I cut the stems off and I put 3 in a page. You don't want to crowd the flowers. You want to give them room to dry. This might be fun to try. Some of this pink veronica. Let me cut a thin stem here. Or a little one. Let's see. I'm looking for a little one. I'm going to try a couple of these veronicas. And now for something wild, I'm going to try and press some of these little fern leaves. I think these would be magical in a journal. They look pretty on the page. I hope they dry well. I'm going to see how these bitter nightshade leaves dry because I really love their shape. I really want to dry some of this Indian tobacco. I'm checking the back of the tobacco leaves to make sure there's no insects. We don't want something in the flower press eating everything before they have a chance to dry. I'm going to try and dry some of the smartweed flowers. They're kind of thick, but let's see how they come out. And on my last page, I picked the witch hazel tree leaf that had a lot of damage from the bugs, and two of these leaves, which are probably ragweed. Nobody likes ragweed, but that's a pretty interesting leaf shape. So I'm going to try that. Okay, what I'm doing now is just checking my pages, my black-eyed Susans. That's pretty lumpy. I think I'll put that on the top. I'm just checking to see how everything is lying down. Some stuff is folded, I guess that's okay. And I picked up a few of these trumpet honeysuckles and I'm going to throw those in. This is the bottom of the press. Just going to put my pages right here. A friend made this for me. It's very sweet of her. It was quite a long time ago. Slide that on. And tighten it down with these wing nuts. Okay, now I'm going to put it aside for a few days and then I'll check on it and see how they're doing.